Oh, crikey there, mates. It's me, Ohio Jones. And I've come to the woods to track down and defeat an evil being. Something that's so crikeyly bad, it seems to be destroyed. It's nothing worse than a remake of a remaster of an original. It's the most foul beast around. And I've tracked it down in these woods, and I will defeat it. Ah, crikey! There it is now. Let's do the right thing, people, and send this thing to the afterlife. Oh, crikey beast! I've captured you, and now you will go the way that you should, to Hades! But in all due seriousness, other than that goofy opening, I have to get straight to the point and discuss this rant of The Last of Us Part 1 Remake. There's so many aspects about this that are bad, but I do have to give credit where credit's due and point out the certain things that are good about this game, okay? You can't sit here and be 100% negative with it. It does have some good parts. First of all, it was rebuilt from the ground up. That is considered not a cash grab, which I don't buy. Has all new textures of all the buildings, shrubbery, a lot more foliage, a lot more destructible environmental items that are placed throughout it. It looks great. The water animation's superb. Reflections are great, and it does have improved animation. But besides that, what else does the game really bring to the table? Well, that's about the only good things I can say about this game. Now it's time to get straight to the bad parts. Okay, the number one thing that people keep saying about this game that I have to totally agree, which is part of my rant, is the fact that when you take the time to rebuild and remake a game from the ground up, not just up-res it like they did with the remastered version, which I think the remastered version came out on July 29th of 2014, while the original before that came out on, let's see, June 14th, 2013. So this game originally came out in 2013, followed by a remaster for PS4 on the following year. Honestly, I don't have a problem here, say, with doing a remaster. That seems like it served a point. It did actually do everything that it needed to do. But when you do a remake from the ground up, I mean rebuilding the game pixel by pixel by everything brand new from the ground up, and you stay 100% true to the game, that is, in my mind, that's fucking stupid. Why would you do that? Why not add something, a new area at least, something new? But they don't. The only thing they touched on was brought over some aspects of The Last of Us Part 2, including some of the AI improvements with the enemies, which that was a welcome addition, but they forgot to do the AI for your own characters. Your companions are just as dumb, if not dumber, than the original two versions of this game. They still do the same dumb shit. They still run around. You'll have an enemy that's almost spotting you, but not yet. But then you'll have Ellie running around circles like this, right in front of them, and they're like, oh, I didn't see it. That's fucking dumb. And for a remake from the ground up, you at least think you could fix a problem like that. That's a pretty big fucking problem. But no, you don't do that. Instead, you just slap together a new version of the game that it's the same game. Does it look great? Yes. Does it play good? Yes. You added some new mechanics, like when you're actually fixing on your weapons and stuff, you can actually see yourself working on the weapons and improving them. But what else did you bring to the table? I totally understand why people get pissed off at game companies that do this, okay? The amount of money and time and effort it took to actually remake this from the ground up, and they didn't add anything new to it, is astounding, okay? They basically remade a whole new game that is identical to the original game, and it adds nothing to it other than the visual fidelity. And you know what? In a day and age like today, visual fidelity on a game isn't everything, okay? And if you want to charge people full price of $70 fucking dollars for this, that's a joke in itself right there. Seriously, come on, man. Come on. Why you got to do things like this? All the effort and time and effort and hard work it took for you and your animators and everybody to rebuild this game from the ground up, and you don't do anything with it. In fact, you take away content, and then you charge $70. Now, if it had, it comes with the Left Behind DLC, which like an hour or two long with Ellie and her friend. That's great. But then you took out one of the best parts of the original version, which was the online online mode. Now, I understand it might be hard. You probably don't have the money and time that remake the online mode from the ground up. But honestly, that was one of the better parts of the package. The original had it, the remastered had it, and it was fantastic. And they took it out of this one. They took it out of this one because you probably couldn't get their online mode to work because you're like, we ain't got the time and the money to fork in millions of dollars for an online mode, which would actually probably would have sold the game a lot better. Now, yes, I thought about it from the viewpoint of PS5s are still hard to come by, okay? So there's probably not that many people still to this day that have a PS5 that they probably went and were going, you know what, is it violently financially stable for us to sink in extra money and development time to come out with the online mode for the PS5 remake? And they were like, no, it's not. And I can see that kind of makes some sense. The fact of the matter is, you brought nothing new to the table in this. Yes, you may have put effort behind it, but it was effort spent in the wrong way. If you're going to do a remake, do something like they did with the Resident Evil 2 remake, where it still has the bone structure of the original game, but mixes it up and changes it, adds some aspects and tweaks some other stuff that made it better. You still had the flavor of the original, but you got some new aspects, some new creative takes on the game series. They did the same thing with Resident Evil 3. Well, I still don't think it was as good as Resident Evil 2 remake. It was still a decent remake, and it was a remake. It was a remake, and it made perfect sense because when you remake a game, you want to modernize it, update it, not just visually. And that's all they did with this. Is it's just a graphical fidelity upgrade. It doesn't change any of the gameplay aspects, which absolutely is just stupid to me. It makes no sense why you would do something like this. I mean, seriously, you go around and you take the time and effort and money to actually do this from the ground up, and the only thing you can really change to it is adding a word of Part 1 to the title. That's all they did. They named it The Last of Us Part 1 because that means they're going to remake and remaster the second one and sell it back to you again, which is absolute garbage. Unless you try something new. Add something new to it. Add a new area, a new boss, a new enemy, something. But no, you didn't. It's the same game, and in fact, you take away shit from it. You take away shit from it, and you think that that's a good thing? But for the game company to sit there and charge you $70 for this is a travesty. It's a total nightmarish thing. That's the reason why I wanted to kill the game. I really did, because I'm like, I love the game. The Last of Us is one of my favorite games of all time, with its story development, its character growth, the level designs, everything about it was really good. And the only thing that destroyed the second one is I thought the game got too big, and I did not like the writing of the characters or the lack of good development. You gotta have characters that evolve over time that you enjoy and you like. That way, when you have some shocking thing happen to it, it actually pulls at your heartstrings. Not like The Last of Us 2. And this, if they would have just mixed it up a bit, add a couple new scenes where you could actually see like an extended scene with the hospital at the end that would actually tie into The Last of Us Part 2. Just something new, something added, something different would have brought something to the table, and you should have charged a $39.95 price for this. If you would have added anything new to it, even though you took out the online mode, which I still don't agree with, but I can understand why you did it for financial reasons. But if you would have added anything new to this property, any sort of new level, and you would only charge $40, I wouldn't be not having this rant at this moment. I would be like, praising you for going, you know what, it looks fun, superb, it looks great, it plays fantastic, but you only brought over a couple smidgens, a couple things, like showing Joel work on the weapons as he's upgrading them, some of the AI of the enemies, and that's it. That's the only thing you brought over. It's the only thing you brought over. There's no strafing, there's no ducking, there's no rolling, there's no diving, there's no crawling. And I understand why you would do that, because it doesn't fit in with the game world's design. But if you would have just added a new sequence, one new area, one new building that you went through, a new enemy or two, something, it wouldn't be so bad. But on top of that, since it's a scene-by-scene exact frickin' thing, it has no heart. It has no soul. To me, this is why people said this was a cash grab. And it's not the fact that the effort that you didn't put into it, but look at the live-action Lion King as a good example to that, okay? Does it look great? Yes! Is it almost a scene-by-scene remake? Almost. It's got some different scenes, but it lost the main aspect to it. It lost its heart and soul. It just felt like a cash grab, and that's why so many people say that this is nothing but a cash grab. You didn't put the money where it should have been. You should have added more to this game. You should have added more in compensation for not getting the online mode. If you just would have added a couple more levels, a couple more enemies, some new dialogue, something. But all it is just a rebuild from the ground up, money Waster. Really, you spent all this time and money just to remake something and not add nothing to it? And yet, look at Resident Evil 2. Look at Resident Evil 3. Look at the upcoming Resident Evil 4. While it stays true to the original version, it modifies and updates it and adds new content to it. That's why when you get there and you get hit by the sticker shock of it being $70 for that game, you're still going to be upset, but you'll be like, you know what, it's got enough changes in it to where it warrants it being a little bit more, because that meant that you took time to develop and build new content for the game instead of just rebuilding the content scene by scene of the original? Why? But in the end, is PS5's remake of The Last of Us Part 1 really a bad game? No, it's not. It's one of the best games that's ever been made, but the problem is, it's already been made twice before. Alright? The original was fantastic. The remastered one was more than enough, because it came with all the DLC, it came with the online mode, it was 1040, 60 frames a second, it had what it needed to. This just seems like an over-embellishment just for you guys to show off, to waste your time and money, to do something with a PS5 version that shouldn't have been done. All you had to do was release this again for 40 bucks. And it might not have been that bad, but instead you decided to charge full price for a game that has less content than a game that came out several years earlier that you can get on PlayStation Network for $2 now. I found The Last of Us for $2, okay? But you want $70 for this. And if it just had anything different other than the nice new box art and the tagline of Part 1 added, it might have been worth it. But in the end, to me, it's not. Please leave in the comments below if you agree or disagree with me on this rant. If there's anything I missed that you wanted to point out, certain things you want to say, leave it in the comments below and I'll answer each and every single one of you. And remember, subscribe to my channel. It's doing pretty good at this moment. I'm getting closer to having my contest giveaway where I'm giving away a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. Please like, subscribe, and remember, here at Devil Dog Gaming, we always end our videos by saying, have fun, play hard, and remember, people, devil's in the details, y'all. Peace out until next time.